Welcome into game one of the regular season here on Clippers Countdown as your LA Clippers are in Utah to start the long journey back up the mountain to try to reach the top for the first time in franchise history, but they aren't climbing free solo. No, they have a squad after an offseason full of upgrades with some new additions in Beal, Lopez, and Collins, along with the return of a familiar face in CP3, Chris Paul, back where he belongs as eras of Clippers basketball are colliding as he's playing with Kawhi Leonard, who's had his first healthy offseason in 5 years. And on Media Day, I asked him about just that.
Adam Moslem with Clippers Radio. You said heading into last season, your goal was to come out of it healthy. You were able to achieve that. Do you have a different goal or a new goal heading into this season you can share with us?
No. I mean, this year is just the same thing that I come in the year, just try to win a championship, do the best I can, try to play as many games as possible, and just go from there. We'll see what we have. We got some new players on our team this year, see what they could bring us, and see if, we could make something special happen.
There's still time to do something special with Kawhi leading them, and that unfinished business has yet to be completed after what felt like a championship run before he tore his ACL back in 2021. We know the potential distractions off the court with the NBA's investigation and all that jazz, but I think these Clippers players are going to band together, be in tune, and give everybody something else to talk about on the court tonight in Utah. Tip-off from Delta Center between your Los Angeles Clippers and the Utah Jazz is just about 58 minutes away. Coming up here in your pregame show, we'll have Lob Murray on from The Athletic, but up next, it's your radio voice of the Clippers and Carlo Jimenez. I'm Adam Osland, and you're listening to the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers in Utah taking on the Jazz in game one of 82 here in the regular season during the 2025-2026 NBA regular season. We're getting set for tip-off. Coming up, we will have Coach Lou on the pregame show, plus Law Murray of The Athletic will be here. But right now from Delta Center is your radio voice of the Clippers and Carlo Jimenez. Carlo, how we doing, my guy?
Adam, it's good to hear from you. I'm doing good. I'm excited. We officially get to play some basketball, and it means something. So I'm hyped. I'm ready to go.
I just wish I could see you.
I know. Sorry, I'm loading up here.
It's all good.
First day. I'll be there by the end.
Let's get into this offseason first of all for this Clippers team. What was the most important offseason acquisition in your mind?
I think for me, Adam, it has to be Brook Lopez. just because of his ability to spread the floor, finally have a stretch five who's an offensive threat, but also great at anchoring a defense. And it just opens up the versatility of this team. And how long have the Clippers been looking for a backup center behind Ivica Zubac who they can call their everyday guy? And they finally have somebody in Brook Lopez who has that veteran experience. And it's just a huge pickup for me this season. I think John Collins will be a close second just because it's everything that they need on the offensive and defensive end. He gives you that flyer, somebody who can run up and down the floor, something they've really been searching for the last couple of seasons. But I think the Brook Lopez deal, I mean, every other team in the NBA would probably love to have Brook Lopez on their team, and somehow the Clippers convinced him to come here to LA. Well, of course, it's because of Steve and L and Ty Lue and this entire coaching staff, but what a move by the Clips.
No doubt. I'm with you on that. And way to not dodge the question. I mean, anybody else would have been like, I can't choose. There's too many. They're all my favorite sons. Carlo Jimenez putting it on Brook Lopez here. Let's talk about the return of CP3, though. Chris Paul back with this franchise. His last game with the Clippers was in 2017 against the Utah Jazz at Staples Center. Game 7, unfortunately, they would fall in the first round. His first game back with the Clippers in Utah, taking on the Jazz. I like the symmetry there, and I love seeing him back in the red, white, and blue.
And I think he's going to play a lot more minutes this season than maybe people expected coming into this season, Adam. I mean, we heard it from Lawrence Frank where he said, look, Chris Paul might not play some nights, but the way he's been running that second unit, I think the Clippers are going to want him to play every single night, want him to be able to be a great force for that second unit. And this is somebody who knows his role, knows how he can be a veteran leader, but most importantly, just knows how to play the game of basketball at an elite level. And with somebody like Brook Lopez, him in the pick and roll, an opportunity to go to John Collins on a lob, it's just so many options for one of the more elite point guards ever to play this game.
John Collins back in Utah, was there the last couple of seasons with the Jazz. He and Chris Dunn, former members of the Utah Jazz. But John Collins coming off the bench. And we were kind of wondering, okay, who's going to be the fifth starter with this team? Looks like it's Derek Jones Jr. I like the move. I like the team keeping their defensive principles and then identity they established last season on the defensive end.
If you want to have a successful defense, you need a great point of attack defender. And Derek Jones Jr. sets the tone for this team on that end. He is that excellent point of attack defender that they can rely on, and really was a huge part of the way the defense played with his length and athleticism. I think the Clippers know if they want to go far this season, they will have to be a top 3 defense again, and Derek Jones Jr. and Chris Dunn are key pieces of setting the tone defensively. Jeff Van Gundy always mentions how guys like Chris and Derek really are the ones to set the high standard for everybody else on how we're going to play on the defensive end, and I expect nothing less for them to continue to do that this season.
Talked about it in the intro, but Kawhi Leonard, his first fully healthy offseason where he could train like he wanted to since 2020 in 5 years.
Yeah.
That could prove to be very meaningful for this team. The last time he had a healthy offseason, they ended up going to the Western Conference Finals. Unfortunately, he tore his ACL along the way, but that regular season was a special one. This Clippers team, with the depth they have, with Kawhi looking like he has in the preseason, they can do some similar damage in the West now.
They can. And Kawhi Leonard, by the way, as we all know, but for those who don't, has the highest winning percentage among active players in the NBA who played at least 500 games or more. So for the Clippers to have him ready to go at the start of the season, a true winner and somebody who always plays at an elite level, you know what you're going to get from Kawhi every single night. And Ty Lue doesn't have to worry about, all right, let's stay afloat until Kawhi gets here and then try to run away with things once Kawhi gets fully healthy, which when he was, the Clippers were excellent. The last 21 games of the season, they won 18-3. Well, now you can start 18-3 maybe this year. I don't know if that's going to be, if that math is equal, but the ability to have Kawhi from the jump, from training camp, is huge for this Clippers team. Everybody knows their roles. No one feels like they have to carry an extra load because Kawhi isn't there. And most importantly, that team chemistry, that ability to mesh and bond just gets a lot easier.
To quickly address the elephant in the room, obviously there's an NBA investigation going on, but it doesn't look like it's gotten to any of these guys. They seem to just rally around the fact that, hey, we're healthy, we're a bunch of vets, we can have some of those blinders on, not worry about the outside noise, and just go to work out there. That's what I'm expecting tonight in Utah.
Yeah, this is a group that's focused on winning a championship, and that is it. That's their goal. As Lawrence Frank has talked about, it's an older group. They've got their money. There's all-star selections up and down the board. Now everyone needs that championship ring. And you brought in pieces like Brook Lopez that have championship aspirations. Somebody like Chris Paul, who's been to an NBA Finals, those guys are now able to lean on that experience, help this rest of the group find their path to that final stage. The Clippers have one goal in mind, Adam, and it's the Larry O.B.
That's right. The Larry O.B. is what they're chasing. The season opens tonight for your LA Clippers in Utah. Tip-off is just about 51 minutes away. Carlo Jimenez is on the call. It's the Clippers and Jazz. And up next, Carlo's got his one-on-one conversation with the head coach in Tyronn Lue right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers in Utah taking on the Jazz in game one of this 82-game regular season. It's opening night for your Los Angeles Clippers. Welcome back into Clippers Countdown, the official pregame show of your LA Clippers. I'm Adam Osland. Coming up, we're going back in time in Clippers Rewind. But first, we got to head back over to your radio voice of the Clippers and Carlo Jimenez.
Thanks so much, Adam. Here with head coach Tyronn Lue before the Clippers open the season against the Utah Jazz. Coach, you have a good summer?
Yeah, had a great summer. Yes, sir.
You got two seasoned point guards on this team, in Chris Paul and James Harden. You were a veteran point guard in your career. What does it mean to have those guys on the floor commanding the offense and the defense?
Yeah, it means a lot. Like I said, James is a prolific scorer who can, score at all three levels. And he does a great job of just putting a lot of pressure on the defense. And like I said, CP, just a guy who can run a team, can assist the basketball, takes care of the basketball, doesn't turn it over, and just knows how to play the game. So it's really a great feeling.
There's been a lot of talk about the importance of having either Derek or Chris on the floor. Chris Dunn, that is, on the floor at all times. Why is point of attack defense so important to overall defense success?
Yeah, it's very important. We have two of the best guys doing it, like you said, with DJ and KD. And so it's very important. We don't want to, put Brad and Kawhi on point guards, every single night. They might get a taste of it throughout the game, but we don't want to start that way.
What about this group excites you the most?
Just our versatility, being able to play different ways. John Collins can play the 3, 4, 5. We got multiple ball handlers, so we can play a lot of different styles of basketball. And you got a stretch 5 in Brook Lopez, who's actually a great defender as well. You usually don't get both, and so it's huge for us.
Last one for you, Coach. You guys finished top 3 in defense last year, and there's a lot of talk about how you feel, and a lot of people feel like the defense could be even better. Where defensively can you guys be better?
With our second unit, I think, Brook Lopez being able to, anchor that defense, being a great shot blocker, rim protector, I think has been huge for us. And we've had some, backup centers that been undersized at times and try to do the right thing. But having a guy like Brook who's 7'2" back there anchoring your defense changes us a lot.
Thank you so much. Best of luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
With Splash Mountain,
Thanks, Ty.
they got a real stretch 5 out there. Thanks, Coach Lou. There was Carlo Jimenez with your coach of your Los Angeles Clippers, Sharon Lou. That stretch 5 is big. Best backup center they've had since Isaiah Hartenstein. That's why myself and Carlo Jimenez both said that's the biggest offseason pickup. But there's a lot you can choose from. We haven't talked enough about Bradley Beal yet. We'll get to that with Law Murray in a bit, but coming up next here on Clippers Countdown, as we are just about 45 minutes away from tip-off in Utah, it's game 1, and we got your Back in Time in Clippers Rewind segment next. I'm Adam Osland, and you're listening to the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers in Utah taking on the Jazz. See Easy calling ye on the board for this one. It'll bring us some good luck. It's game 1 of the regular season for your Los Angeles Clippers. Coming up, we'll get your player to watch. Law Murray of The Athletic will be here as well from Delta Center. But first, we got to go back in time in Clippers Rewind. We're taking things back almost 10 years to April 8th of 2016. The first Deadpool movie was out, not the second, not Deadpool meets Wolverine. And he finally was wearing the yellow spandex, and he finally had his Wolverine little hat, helmet, ear thing on, at least by the end of the movie. It was fun. It worked. On the radio was Panda by Designer. That was trying to be understood by anyone, but who cares? It's a banger. It works. And the Clippers were in a close game late in 2016 in Utah.
Crawford picked up by Rodney Hood. Waving off a Jeff Green screen. Crawford now gets a screen from Paul Pierce and gets picked up by Favors on the mismatch. 5 to shoot. Crawford's going to go to work. He's going to go for the win. A 3 on the left wing in the air. Yes, sir! Oh, my goodness! Hot damn! Jamal Crawford delivers 102 to 99. 0.2 of a second to play in Salt Lake City. Oh, my goodness.
You know it's a big shot when there's a hot damn in there from Brian Seaman. We knew him when. Jay Crossover with the game winner to lift the Clippers over the Jazz, 102 to 99. Jamal finished with 30 points in the game. He obviously was a great Clipper. 2-time Sixth Man of the Year winner with your Los Angeles Clippers, averaging 15 a game in his 5 seasons with the team. Clippers in Utah tonight for game 1 of the regular season. Tip-off is just about 40 minutes away. Up next here on Clippers Countdown, we'll get your player to watch. I'm Adam Osland, and you're listening to the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Even Rob Parker believes. Let's go. That may be the kiss of death. Hopefully not. Rob Parker's been in our corner for a long time. No way, no how. Yes way. I'm Adam Moslin. Welcome back in. It is Clippers Countdown as we are just about 38 minutes away from tip-off. Coming up, we got La Murray and your injury report. But first,
this is LA Clippers basketball.
Watching this guy play right now is really something.
Players to watch.
you know, there's just something when you're going up against your former employer. And we're going to see that with two Clippers tonight in Utah. Chris Dunn, former member of the Jazz, and John Collins, very recently a member of the Utah Jazz. The last two seasons, last year in 40 games with them, had 19 points that he was averaging per game, plus 8 boards, shot 53% from the field and 40% from the outside. If you're wondering why he only played 40 games, some are also wondering that, because I think the Jazz actually got fined for maybe doing a little bit of tanking out there. You know, it happens. They're rebuilding, and he was doing too good for them. They had to keep him off the court to make sure they didn't win too many games. They ended up with Ace Bailey in the draft, but I want to see what John Collins has for them tonight. He'll be coming off the bench. I know DJ is the starter, and many of you thought John Collins was going to be that starter at the 4, but after what you saw in the preseason with him next to Brook Lopez and CP3, I think they got it right. Excited to see what John Collins is going to do against the Utah Jazz tonight, as we are just about 36 minutes away from tip-off. He's my player to watch. Up next, your injury report right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers and Jazz from Utah in game 1 of the regular season for your Los Angeles Clippers, as we are just about 33 minutes away from tip-off. I'm Adam Osland. Still to come, we got La Murray of The Athletic joining the show. But first, your injury report. I bring you good news. The only guy out tonight for the Clippers, Jordan Miller. He's dealing with some left hamstring soreness. Everybody else fully available. And I'd say this is also good news for the NBA, and you want to beat everybody at their best also. Ace Bailey is available. He's on a minutes restriction of 15 because he's dealing with an illness. He's under the weather. But the Utah Jazz's first-round pick and Ace Bailey will be available on a minutes restriction. You know how I knew that? because I follow Law Murray at Law Murray the NU. He's coming up next from the Athletic. It's Law Murray from Delta Center as we get set for the Clippers taking on the Utah Jazz. I'm Adam Osland, and you're listening to the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers in Utah taking on the Jazz as we are just 30 minutes away from tip-off in Game 1 of the regular season for your LA Clippers. Welcome back to basketball. I'm Adam Osland. Coming up, we'll get to an NBA out-of-town scoreboard, but join the show right now from the Athletic at Law Murray. The NU is where you find him on X. Is the Law. Law, good to see you. I know his name tag says Carlo on the YouTube side. I'm telling you guys, it's Law. It's not Carlo. Law, how are you?
We on YouTube. That's cool.
We're doing it all. YouTube, AM 570 LA Sports, the streaming app, as the Clippers get set to tip off against the Utah Jazz. As I see Brian Seaman behind you there. Brian, move out of the way. Come on. You're trying to steal Law's shine here. He would do something like that. Law, I know there's no surprise from you that DJ is the starter in Game 1. I posted the clip of about 3 weeks ago now where you were talking with Kawhi Leonard at Intuit Dome during practice, and he said he thought things would be similar when it came to the starting lineup. I inferred from that he'd likely be at the 4. I know a lot of people have made a ton about this because of what happened in the playoff series, even though it was like 3 possessions where Aaron Gordon got him. But your interpretation of what the Clippers are looking at with Derek Jones Jr. in the starting lineup and John Collins coming off the bench.
It's what Kawhi said. It's basically the lineup that you got used to seeing last year, except that it's Bradley Beal instead of Norman Powell, and it's Derek Jones Jr. instead of Chris Dunn. Having a ball handler like Bradley Beal in the first unit allows you to play your better player as your point of attack defender, and that's Derek Jones Jr. No disrespect at all to Chris Dunn, who I expect to see tonight. In fact, I expect to see that full bench lineup. That lineup that was so exciting in the preseason as far as how well they played together despite the new pieces. I want to see how often those guys get run tonight. I think the starting lineup for the Utah Jazz has a significant size advantage at the forward spot specifically. The guards and center, it's negligible. You're really just talking about who's going to guard Larry Markkinen and Kyle Filipowski. But off the bench, that's where the strength of this Clippers roster should overwhelm whatever Utah is going to be rolling out. And I'm excited for Utah's bench as well. They got some young guys that are going to play. Ace Bailey, the best of them theoretically, but unfortunately, as you mentioned, he's on a minute restriction. But I think the Clippers are going for what worked last year, which they should have done. They made the decision that, hey, the defensive identity is going to be important. It was last year. And if they can marry that with what they did offensively once they got things going with Kawhi, then that leads to a team that at least is as good as a 50-win team last year and could possibly be better.
You bring up Kawhi there, first offseason in 5 where he was fully healthy, able to train. Is this the guy that, I don't know, we saw during the 2020-2021 run with this team that eventually got to the Western Conference Finals, although he tore his ACL along the way? Can he be that good for them now with a healthy offseason?
I don't really see that, Kawhi. And the main difference is I just feel like those years kind of mean something. Kawhi being able to consistently beat the guy in front of him is going to be key. And I really want to see how he does that tonight. This Utah Jazz team is going to be a team that they've always been pretty bad at forcing turnovers. They were dead last. In fact, they set a verified NBA record, verified as far as like how long we go back to tracking turnovers, which is the late 70s. But they were the worst team on record for turnover differential. They were dead last in turnover percentage offensively and dead last in forcing turnovers defensively. They are a team that they're going to live with teams shooting the three. Not last season, but the season before, they allowed either the most threes in the league or the highest three-point percentage. They are more prone to allowing you to shoot the jumper than they are to, they want to protect the paint and they want to protect the rim. Walker Kessler is one of the best in the league at that. And they have that size at the forward spot. Besides Kessler, they have Filipowski, they have Markkanen. If you miss shots against them, they want to rebound. Kawhi Leonard is going to have opportunities to hit jump shots tonight. But I want to see if he's going to get to the free throw line at a high rate against this defense. That is the version of Kawhi from 5 years ago that I'm not sure we're going to get this year.
Okay, well, let me ask you this and frame it this way. You had the Clippers second in your first power rankings release this season that got a lot of people hot under the collar. It was a great article. Read it all, absorbed it all. Is this the best Clippers team that Kawhi has been on top to bottom?
I think Kawhi made a case for it being the best team since his injury in 2021. I think that 2021 team was special. I mean, they had issues even before Kawhi got hurt, with Serge Ibaka not being able to finish the season due to his back woes. And then Ivica Zubac wasn't able to finish the conference finals due to an MCL injury. So you had some challenges. That was a pretty good roster. They've had some special rosters, but they were always missing something. That was the point Kawhi Leonard was making a couple weeks ago. This is a team that it's not just about the players and the positional fits, but it's also the maturity, the leadership, the experience, where everyone understands their roles and they're not going to trip about who's doing what or any of that stuff. You had a lot of talented Clippers teams where you had a massage some egos. The egos are not as flammable on this team. And that's no disrespect to those guys who are really good and had really good careers over the past few years. Those guys earn the respect, and that's what comes with great players. You have to be able to manage that. That's why Tyronn Lue's in the position that he's in, because he's one of the greatest managers in the league as far as understanding how to work with all these talented guys who've had great careers. But this is a deep team. This is a talented team. I'm very interested to see who does not play tonight, Adam.
Yeah.
Because they are not rolling out an 11-man rotation. I wanted to write that story going into today's game, the season opener. Because they are healthy and deep, someone good is not going to play tonight, and someone good is not going to play 20 minutes. And I want to see how those rotations shake out, especially if this game winds up being close. And I expect the Utah Jazz to hang around tonight. This is not – I'd be surprised if this is a blowout tonight.
If I throw out 3 names in Dunn, Batum, and Bogey, who do you think is most likely to not get minutes or not play tonight out of those 3?
I would say Bogdanovic. He just had the least amount of time to be healthy and run with these guys in the preseason. I would say the least likely is Chris Dunn. You have 2 point of attack defenders, you're going to play them. Chris Dunn deserved to be an all defense. He deserved all defense consideration, and he played enough games. He just didn't play enough minutes in those games, and I wonder how that's going to go. But this team, from Kawhi Leonard to the coaching staff to the front office, they value Chris Dunn a whole lot more than they did a year ago. I remember Chris Dunn, first week in the season, he went to Denver and was instrumental in helping the Clippers win that game first week in the season. And the coaches, they came up to me and were like, Chris Dunn saved us in that game. And he didn't win the starting job from Terrence Mann for another 2 weeks after that. So that's the pecking order. I expect Chris Dunn and Derrick Jones Jr. to be point of attack A and B. I expect Nico Batum to get as limited minutes as you can get, close to what you saw last year. And I'd be surprised to see Bogdanovic figure in with everybody healthy.
Keeping Batum on ice for as long as possible is fine with me. Break in case of emergency, we need to win a big game. And talking about CP3 and being around the team right now and interviewing him, Law, what do you think his mindset is? Because from what I've seen, it seems like it's shifted from, oh, this is a great reunion. He's kind of soaking it all into, okay, it's basketball now, and he's one of the toughest competitors out there.
Chris Paul does not strike me as the sentimental type, especially once ball is being played. And his introductory press conference was he wanted to be clear on, I'm not allowed to retire him this year. And that was back in late July. We're not talking about any of that stuff right now. Chris is locked in and he understands his role and he knows that he is to steward the second unit and get those guys great shots. If Brook Lopez and John Collins are going to be effective in the second unit, it's going to be Chris Paul who's going to have a big role in that. And I think he's very focused. Even when he went to Golden State, like because of suspensions and because of injuries, Chris Paul wound up starting a lot more games than people probably thought. He obviously came off the bench more than he ever did. But I look at Chris Paul as a guy who understands his role, and I look at Tyronn Lue, a guy who always values point guards, traditional point guards, small guards. We've heard that for years. We've heard him try to do it with guys who weren't as careful with the basketball and weren't as careful as getting the most out of every possession. He has that in Chris Paul, and I expect the second unit to hum offensively because of the presence of Chris.
Have you heard any scuttlebutt from the team about not individual goals, but team goals, like maybe being a top 3 seed, or is it just getting home court in the first round? Has any of that stuff come up at all?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This team is open about playing well to begin the season, getting off to a great start, and not having them in a position in April where they got to chase so many wins that they have to avoid the play-in tournament and then survive, just getting to the playoffs and not having your best in the playoffs. The Clippers are very aware of how good they were to end last regular season and how they weren't at their best in the playoffs. They were probably better than the Denver Nuggets on paper. They're probably better than the Denver Nuggets as far as how the two respective teams were playing going into the playoffs, but they weren't better. And they were probably better than the Denver Nuggets, at a certain point in the series. They were up 2-1, but once game 4 happened and once it ended the way it did, the Clippers lost control of that series, and they never had the power to get it back. They had the power to force a game 7, but as you saw, that was about it. So I think the priorities for this Clippers team is a very perspective of understanding what worked and what didn't work last year and taking that energy into this season. I think the Clippers have tried to have a business-like approach to each of the previous 2 seasons. Different things have challenged that. I thought they were really good to start last season. They started 12-8 without Kawhi and with a bunch of guys who, were tryhards more than they were superly talented. This team has the talent. They need to show that they can try hard, and they need to win games and not be stupid about it. Look at the schedule. They should win 75% of the games to start the first quarter of the season, and they know that.
Lastly, for you here, Laud, how much does preseason matter for Bradley Beal just getting in that last game, and how long is it going to take for him to really mesh with the rest of the starting unit out there?
Well, to hear Brad say it, Brad feels good, and it was important that he played Friday night. And the work behind the scenes with who we expected to start, now you see the starters tonight officially, has been a thing for weeks, not just in the last few days. That being said, Bradley Beal is on a minute restriction. It's an undetermined one, but you can probably gauge what that restriction is. It's probably in the 20 to 25 range. I think that will allow you to have an extended second unit as far as maybe all bench lineups, stuff like that. I think that it's going to take some time as far as how this group plays. I don't expect them to play great as far as we're just, humming with these lineups. I expect there to be some growing pains. But I also expect there to be some synergy. I think there's already a package for Brad that he worked really well with. You saw that Friday night in Golden State, how well he worked with Ivica Zubats, how well he was coming off of screens and getting to the mid-range. And so it's a lot to see. And Tyronn Lue was pretty open about, hey, it's going to take 15 to 20 games. Tyronn Lue usually says it's going to take 10 games before I make any changes to rotation, starting lineup, stuff like that. Again, I wanted to put in my story how people have in their minds about the starting lineup is going to play like this, and your best players are going to play this many minutes. And people think 8 guys play 30 minutes a game. It does not work like that for any team. It will not work like that for the Clippers. It hasn't worked like that for the Clippers in the past. Enjoy tonight. Enjoy this week. And let's see where we get to. And let's take data points, 5 games, 10 games, 15 games, 20 games. Hit me in Thanksgiving, and we'll be updating that progress.
Well, I hope I don't got to wait that long to talk to you again. Enjoyed the conversation here. La Murray from The Athletic from Utah, where the Clippers are taking on the Jazz in game 1 of the regular season. La, appreciate you. We'll see you into a dome soon, my friend.
Hey, thank you. Shout out to you. Shout out to the TV. They get to do these games again, and enjoy the night, everybody.
He is La Murray. At La Murray, the NU is where you find him. Subscribe to him at The Athletic, and you will be a much more informed basketball fan and Clipper fan, especially. Coming up next, as we're just about 16 minutes away from tip-off in Utah, we'll get to your drive around the league. I'm Adam Osland, and you're listening to the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers in Utah Tip-off is just about 14 minutes away. Welcome back in. I'm Adam Osland. It's the Clippers taking on the Jazz in game number 1 of the 25-26 NBA season for your Los Angeles Clippers. Welcome back into Clippers Countdown, the official pregame show of your LA Clippers. Still to come, we'll go back to Carlo Jimenez, but first, let's get your drive around the league, brought to you by Toyota. Work hard and play hard in a new Tacoma with an iForce turbocharged engine. It's a truck built for the bold. See your Toyota dealer today. We make it easy. A couple of scores to get to for you here late. Midway through the third quarter, I should say. In New York, it's the Knicks leading the Cavaliers 79-72. OG Anunoby, you're my only hope. 15 points, 8 boards. Donovan Mitchell has 22 for the Cavaliers, but they trail by 7 with just about 17 minutes left in that ball game. In Charlotte, Hornets all over the Brooklyn Nets, 90-71 with 8 minutes left in the third. The Hornets are going to be exciting and entertaining as long as LaMelo Ball is out there running the show. Miles Bridges has 15 and 9 boards for them. In Orlando, it's the Heat up on the Magic, 83-79. Franz Wagner does have 24 Orlando. Davion Mitchell, former King, former Toronto Raptor. He's got 14 and 6 for Miami. And at the half in Atlanta, it's the Hawks trailing the Raptors 65-59. RJ Barrett with 12 points for Toronto. Jalen Johnson, who's due to have a big year. I like what the Hawks did this offseason. He has 12 points, 24 minutes in. Speaking of, at the half in Boston, no Jason Tatum. 76ers lead 57-51. Tyrese Maxey has 22 points for Philly, man. Still no Paul George in that game. Joel Embiid has played 10 minutes. He's 1 of 6, 0 of 2, but they still have a 6-point lead at the half over the Boston Celtics, who don't have a player in double digits so far. Clippers in Utah taking on the Jazz. Tip-off just about 12 minutes away. Coming up next, it's back to your radio voice of the Clippers and Carlo Jimenez. I'm Adam Osland, and you're listening to the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Tip-off from Delta Center, just about 12 minutes away. Welcome back in. I'm Adam Osland. This is Clippers Countdown, the official pregame show of your Los Angeles Clippers. Getting set for the start of the new season. Clippers taking on the Jazz in Utah. Coming up, we'll get your keys to victory. But first, back out to Delta Center with your radio voice of the Clippers in Carlo Jimenez. Carlos, talk about the Utah Jazz a little bit. somewhat of a makeover. No Colin Sexton, no Jordan Clarkson, and we know no John Collins for them anymore. Tell me about their offseason, what to expect from this group this year.
They got younger, surprisingly. This is a group that went ahead and drafted Ace Bailey, 5th overall, somebody they're really high on. Then they picked up Walter Clayton Jr. in the middle parts of that first round, led Florida to a national championship, was the most outstanding player of the NCAA tournament, and also drafted John Tonje, who was an excellent player at Wisconsin, where he was second-team All-American. Not a lot of moves, though, like you mentioned, Adam, in terms of bringing pieces in. They did bring in Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson in the Norman Powell trade. I don't know how much those guys expect to play this season. I would be surprised if we see Kevin Love. Might see Kyle Anderson in this game. But nonetheless, Adam, they are leaning into this youth movement. And that might be for reasons when it comes to their draft pick. This is a team that owes their pick to OKC unless they finish bottom 8 in terms of records in the NBA. So the incentive to win might not be there in a loaded West. The incentive to develop is really there.
I think I saw their over-under at 19.5, but they can still be dangerous, especially in game one, especially because, to me, Lauri Markkanen is due for a bounce-back season. He got off to a rough start last year, played a minimum amount of games, had a lower back injury, I remember. He's due to break out. Never an easy matchup.
No, this guy averaged 19 points last season on 42% from the field, over 34% from the three-point line. He's been excellent. The good news for the Clippers is they have Kawhi Leonard, and Lauri Markkanen has been on record saying his least favorite defender to face is Kawhi Leonard. So the Clippers have that going for them today. But just an excellent player on both ends. Big reason why he signed a 5-year, $238 million deal. And this is somebody who beat Jokic in Serbia this summer in Eurobasket and finished with the 3rd most points in the Eurobasket tournament behind Giannis and Jokic, led Finland to a semifinals, the longest they have ever gone in the Eurobasket tournament. He's an elite player, and he knows how to lead a team, especially at the international level. When he was an all-star, Adam, he was coming off a Eurobasket summer. Expect him to be in rhythm to start the season.
I also think Walker Kessler is a beast. He's kind of a younger version of Ivica Zubac. This is somebody that can dominate the paint and make life miserable for you if you're trying to get downhill and get some easy buckets. He protects the moat just like Ivica Zubac.
Averaged 2.5 blocks a game last season. He is excellent around that defensive area. Somebody who has the 2nd most blocks in the league, Adam, the last 3 seasons. The guy who has the most? Brook Lopez.
Let's go.
But nonetheless, this is a player in Walker Kessler who really does a great job defensively protecting the rim, but also, Adam, led the league in offensive rebound percentage a season ago. So he attacks that offensive glass. Ivica Zubac will have to be careful about making sure you get a body to Walker Kessler when he's trying to get an extra possession.
And going back to the Clippers, we know Bradley Beal's on a minutes restriction, just played the final preseason game, did look good out there. Wondering how long it's going to take him to gel and build up a little bit of chemistry with the rest of the starting lineup, but you can see some of those Norman Powell-like traits out there and a little something extra. This is somebody that on the ball has a lot of juice, can create for others as well as himself. The dimensions of his game, when you're talking about a former 30-point-per-game scorer, he could really elevate this team.
Agreed. Bradley Beal, while he's on a minutes restriction today, the ability to create on his own is something that's new for this Clipper offense, especially that 2-guard. While Norman Powell was excellent all season, a lot of his shots are catch and shoot. A lot of his shots are coming off a flare screen. He's not dribbling into a pick and roll and finding an opportunity unless it was going right to the cup. Bradley Beal is a 3-level scorer. He gets buckets from the mid-range, from the three-point line, and around the rim. Somebody who averaged 17 points a game last season. The versatility on the offensive end is excellent. Now, he's been challenged defensively by this Clipper coaching staff. Can you guard elite players at an elite level? They believe he can, but for a 3-time All-Star to come into your group for a 2-year, $11 million deal, somebody you didn't expect to get this season, but thanks to his son's buyout, all of a sudden lands in your lap. I expect Bradley Beal to win some games this season for the Clippers.
Clippers in Utah tonight for game 1 of the regular season. Carlo Jimenez is on the call as we're just about 6 minutes away from tip-off. Coming up next, we'll get to your keys to victory. I'm Adam Osland, and you're listening to the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network. Clippers and Jazz from Utah. Tip-off is just moments away. Let's get to your keys to victory. Well, for me, it's pretty simple in this one. If you go back to last season, where did the Clippers struggle, especially early on before they had Kawhi Leonard back? Now, they'll have him tonight. He's fully healthy and ready to go, but you still got to take care of the basketball. The Clippers were 22nd in turnovers per game at just about 15. Meanwhile, the Utah Jazz, they were last in the league. They turned the ball over 17 times per game. That's 30th. They were 30th last season. The Clippers have to get some easy ones, turn over the Utah Jazz, and then take care of the basketball. No careless mistakes on their end. And they should be able to survive in Utah, but it's game one. It's always a tough place to play. And this Clippers team, they got to come out with that right intensity. And what does Coach Lou always say? That physicality out there on the defensive end. Set the tone early. DJ, with your point of attack defense on the starting lineup helps there. All right, here we go. It's Carlo Jimenez on the call from Delta Center in Utah. It's the Clippers and Jazz with tip-off coming up next right here on the Los Angeles Clippers Audio Network.